Okay, so this is an extremely long story. It begins in December of 2023 when my sister-in-law, let's call her Susan, was caught by her husband in a car with another man. Susan is married with 2 kids. She told her husband she was going to the gym. According to the husband, she parked in a shopping center, hopped in another man's car, and returned a few hours later wearing something else. Her husband was following her that night because he had a nagging feeling something was going on. The husband confronted her, recorded her, and essentially told her, "I'm taking the kids and divorcing you." He also tells her, "I'm posting this video of you on social media." She claims she and the man are only friends. My sister-in-law is a social media personality with about 500,000 followers, so the idea of him releasing the video drives her crazy. During this time, Susan's sister takes Susan's husband's side and starts bashing and hating on Susan, leading to a huge falling out between them. So what does my sister-in-law do once she's back home? She kicks him out of the house and files a police report and restraining order against him, claiming that he hits her. She told me she lied to the police and only said that he hits her so they would grant it. After this, her husband is sleeping in his car and the kids are with Susan's mother. She says she's getting a divorce and he has to pay for her child support and her rent. He says that he will not unless she removes the restraining order. My husband convinces my sister-in-law, after days and days of back and forth, to remove the restraining order and fix the situation with her husband. She removes it, and they both decide they are traveling overseas to the country where her husband is from to stay with his family and take a break. Their trip is 3 weeks. He says, "Let's extend our trip and consider staying here." He and their daughters extend their trip while she flies back to America to empty their apartment by selling everything, give back their rental, and give back her leased car. I ask her why she didn't just travel back at the same time as her husband and kids, and she can't give me an answer. Turns out while she was emptying her house, she was still continuing to see the man she was caught in the car with. During this time, she also tells me that they are settling in her husband's home country and won't be back in America for 2 to 3 years. My husband finds out about her continuing to talk and meet with her side piece, calls her out, and says that we will no longer be speaking to someone who is actively ruining their own life. Susan says that her friend helped her during this time because my husband didn't. This is true. My husband did not help her. This entire confrontation happened while she was at the airport, traveling back to her husband and kids. So she goes back, and we had stopped communicating with her. Before she left, she sent me her Expedia account. This is important. While constantly posting on social media from overseas, she suddenly stops for a week or 2. Since I still had her Expedia account, I was nosy and logged into it. Lo and behold, I see a plane ticket back to America. I was the one who had helped them purchase their original plane tickets through the airline directly, so I look up her husband's ticket and he's back here too. Their kids are still overseas with her husband's family. After another week or 2, she begins posting with a lady, and after some snooping, I find out she's definitely back, but she's in another state, staying with the lady from her posts. From her mother, I hear that her husband is still here, in our state, and working. Her mom stops by our house and says, "Poor Susan, she's still overseas." I say, "Well, she's not overseas. She's actually here, and her kids are overseas." I say that I feel bad for her children, and the conversation ends there. Her mom goes and tells her that I told her she is in another state, not overseas, and spices up the story. I do not know what else she said. Then a few weeks pass, and she messages my mom after she sees my mom posted a graduation picture of my sister on Facebook. She messages my mom, "I heard a lot of things, but the thing that hurts me the most is that your daughter is still talking badly about me. But it's okay. She's like my sister. Oh, also, congratulations on so-and-so's graduation." I immediately know it's about what I said to her mom. So I unblocked her and said, "I don't know what you heard, but all I told your mom is the truth that you are here. If you heard anything other than that, it's not true, because I don't communicate with anyone else besides your mother." I ask her what she heard. She won't say, and she tries to act like nothing happened and all is good. The next day she says, "Sorry I couldn't reply to you. I'm with my kids, which I thought was a lie. So I say, can you stop lying? All you do is lie, and that's what got you into this situation with your husband. Turns out she was actually back overseas with her kids. Oops. At this point, keep in mind, 2 months had passed where she was not with her kids. I go on to say, well, that's good. That's where you should be. You shouldn't be leaving your kids overseas without their father or mother present. She goes on to say that she knew I was talking badly about her and that I had been talking badly about her from day one because my husband told her, and that I should have a nice day, jealous person. Then she blocks me. Then she messages my mom and tells her to tell me to stop stalking her, to leave her alone, to leave her family alone, and to watch my own life, not her life. After that, she blocked my mom too, so I also blocked her from every single platform. I deleted all of her pictures and I removed her contact information. I am completely done, because she both insulted me and called me the liar. So she is overseas, she gets her kids and brings them here. Guess who she moves in with? Remember the sister who took her husband's side? Yup, with her. They start posting on social media, hugging and kissing, and say, "May God keep evil people from us." After a week, she travels back overseas, leaves her kids again, then comes back again. Once back again, she's with her sister, and all is good. Then, about 2 weeks ago, things hit the fan. The two sisters and their husbands travel to Florida for vacation. Well, they have a huge fight over there, and once Susan returns home, she damages her sister's perfumes and makeup, puts dirt in her cabinets, and does really petty stuff. Her sister files a police report. She leaves the shared apartment. Keep in mind, her sister did not kick her out while they were in Florida. Also, Susan returned first and her sister second. Once her sister returns and sees what she did, what does she do? She posts on social media and humiliates Susan. Also, the police report. Susan can't stay with her mom because her stepfather does not want her. Her husband, or alleged ex-husband at this point, can't take her in because he's staying in an all-male apartment as a roommate. So she is sleeping in her car. Now for an update. Because she has nowhere else to go, she reaches out to my husband. After manipulating him and crying about how she and her husband are now divorced and she's staying in her car, he wants to bring her into our home. I say no because I can't trust her, and I have 2 young kids of my own. I also have pets. My pets and my kids are my everything. And I can't put someone in my home who says that I was talking badly about her since the beginning. She showed me that she genuinely hates me. I simply do not want her here. And my husband is now saying I'm heartless. I said I am willing to apply for programs that can assist her. I even found a room she can rent that is available tomorrow. My one rule is that she can't come here. Sometimes when he nags at me, I'm like, maybe, but I don't want her sitting with me or interacting with me or my kids. And my husband is like, no, she can do whatever she wants. I say she can't cook in my kitchen. He says, yes, she can. This makes me so mad because this is my home too, and I take care of it, clean it, and maintain it. I do not want someone like her here. What should I do? Would other people allow such a person to stay with them? She wasn't even loyal to her husband. How can a person like this be trusted? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Ask your husband straight out who is more important, his wife and kids, or his scummy sister. Don't cave on this one, because you will be the one she leaves her kids with for months. It is your stuff that will be destroyed. And if you think for 1 minute she won't let you know that she comes first in her brother's eyes, you would be sorely mistaken. Good luck, my friend. Comment 2. Nope. Something is wrong with her, and you aren't the professional qualified to fix her damage. This is not your circus, and these are not your monkeys. Buy some popcorn and enjoy the show. She is not welcome, and you should call the police on her if she shows up and swear she attacked you. Karma is real. Now, for the update. My husband had been texting back and forth with Susan, trying to understand her situation. I overheard him telling her that she had been living in her car for a week. He mentioned how tough it must be for her and that she needed someone to rely on. We had a family dinner planned for the upcoming weekend. My husband suggested inviting Susan to the dinner, saying it would be a good chance to help her. I outright said no during the dinner prep, which led to a tense argument. My husband argued that families should always support each other, no matter what. I reminded him of Susan's past actions and how she lied to everyone. The argument got worse, and I left the kitchen feeling frustrated. I decided to call my sister to vent about the situation. During the call, she revealed that Susan had tried to contact her again. Susan had asked my sister for a place to stay, but my sister refused. The family dinner arrived, and tensions were high. My parents were curious why Susan wasn't invited. My husband defended the idea of reaching out to her, saying she needed help. I could see my parents exchanging concerned looks, unsure of what to say. My brother Jake brought up how Susan's behavior had affected everyone. After a few awkward silences, the dinner turned to lighter topics. Later that night, I got a text from my sister saying Susan was back in town. My sister mentioned that she had seen Susan parked outside a local convenience store. The next day, I was out grocery shopping and saw Susan's car in the parking lot. I quickly walked back to my car and texted my husband about it. He insisted that we should reach out and check on her. A few hours later, my sister called again, sounding panicked. She said Susan showed up at her house unannounced, demanding to stay with her. My sister refused, and Susan got angry, causing a scene in front of her neighbors. The next day, I got a message from my husband saying that Susan was at our front door. He said he would handle it, but I worried he would give in. A few minutes later, I heard a knock, and it was my husband, looking upset. He said Susan was pleading for help, claiming she was desperate. I stood my ground and told him that we couldn't risk it. He looked torn, but ultimately agreed with my decision, saying we would call her a cab. The next morning, we got a call from my sister, saying Susan had been arrested for trespassing. I really don't know what to feel about the whole situation. I'm glad she got arrested for trespassing because she shouldn't be showing up at my sister's house like that, but at the same time, it makes me feel bad that it got to that point. My husband is all mixed up about this too, and it kind of shows now. I can tell he feels guilty for not helping her, but I just can't risk doing that again. She hurt our family so many times, and I just don't want to go back to that. Anyway, I might update this if my husband decides to do anything else stupid. Edit: Susan got out on bail and is now back in town again. My husband told me he saw her parked on our street, so I had to make him promise that he wouldn't do anything stupid and invite her in. I'm still really worried about her finding a way in for the kids' sake. Am I the idiot for suggesting separation after catching my wife flirting with her coworker, trying to figure out if I'm crazy or not? My wife and I just had our 7th anniversary. For those 7 years, she has gone through my phone semi-frequently without me knowing and would always find something that she didn't like. This usually was something like a single text to a female coworker. Not a whole conversation even, 1 or 2 texts at most, and she would blow up at me about it. I would apologize, even though I felt nothing wrong had been done. She's always been a sort of jealous type, if that wasn't apparent. She's always been super jealous of my ex for some reason, even though my ex and I haven't spoken since we ended things a long time ago. For the first 6.5 years of our marriage, I never went through her phone because I trusted her. One night, for some reason, I decided that I wanted to look through hers for once, thinking I would find nothing. To my surprise, I found conversations with her best friend about dirty fantasies she thinks about with male coworkers of hers and even her boss. She would also make comments about how she had wished I would do more adventurous stuff in the bedroom and how she wished she had a dominant partner. To top it all off, she direct messages her ex because he liked one of her Instagram stories, but he didn't respond to her. She then proceeded to message the same best friend of hers about how she messaged her ex, and she said she should feel bad, but didn't. Well, I confronted her about it the next morning, obviously, and lots of talks came of it. I told her it's not necessarily the specific conversations that bother me, which granted, I didn't like, and they bothered me some. It's the fact that she would get so angry at me for things that were way less of what I would consider a big deal, and that I couldn't imagine if she had found similar things in my phone. Long story short, she blocked her ex and decided that her best friend wasn't actually a good friend because she encouraged it and has since cut off most of her communication with that friend. This was something we mutually decided was a good idea. It wasn't something I insisted on. Fast forward to last week. I found out she's in a group text with her work friend and one of the cute coworkers that she had had fantasies about, as mentioned above. I told her it wasn't a big deal, but that I feel like she wouldn't like me doing that. She texted me a few days later to tell me that they had been texting in the group chat again, but that she hadn't really been participating. That night, I asked her about it, and she showed me the texts, and she definitely was participating, unlike she said, and it irked me. She said she started to participate after she had told me she hadn't been. I decided for the second time in our marriage to check her phone that night, and what I found under a microscope isn't a big deal, but she basically lied to me. I looked at the timestamps, and she had been texting a bunch in their group prior to her telling me she hadn't, and she had deleted some of the texts because she didn't want me to see them. She didn't realize there's a recently deleted text messages folder. I confronted her about it, and same thing as last time. She apologized profusely, saying she was wrong and she's sorry. I'm just frustrated and feel like I can't trust her. Each incident on its own isn't that big of a deal, but given how she's gotten mad at me before, paired with her lying to me about stuff, has made me feel like I can't trust her. How do I trust her again? To add, I'm not good at Reddit and can't figure out how to edit the title. My wife was 24 at the time of the first incident. She is currently 25. She was not 17 when we got married. Almost forgot. Also worth noting, we have 2 kids. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. There's so much confession by projection in her reaction to your texts. Suddenly it makes sense why she is so hung up about you being inappropriate with your ex, because that's what she's doing. The stronger the reaction, typically the more there is to hide, that she then readily accepts the hypocrisy about not feeling bad about messaging her. Ex speaks volumes about how she views you and how she views herself. You are subject to her rules. She is not subject to yours. This is further reinforced when you specifically tell her what bothers you. She agrees to change her behavior, then backtracks on that agreement. How do you trust her again? Her consistently demonstrating trustworthiness over a long period of time. I'll be honest here, I don't think she's capable of it. There's more going on in her head than she's sharing. Comment 2. Bro, she clearly is not respecting you. You have given more than enough chances. She will eventually cheat on you if she hasn't already. I think if you want to stay with her, you better improve and try to be the dominant one, or whatever she wants in the room, as she clearly will go to someone else if you don't fulfill her desires, as it's clearly stated in your story. I think couples counseling will help you a lot, and you should give her an ultimatum to cut off all this chatting. If you find something else again, you will file for divorce, as she is not respecting you or your boundaries. Say you will text others. I know it's kind of toxic, but it may get the point across to her mind of how serious the problem is and how the relationship will lose all trust if she keeps doing it. Now, for the update. 2 days after the confrontation, I was chilling in the living room, trying to keep my mind off everything when my wife got a text. She grabbed her phone and walked into the kitchen, shutting the door behind her like it was some kind of emergency. I could hear her laughing in there, and honestly, it made me uneasy. I mean, given everything that's been going on between us, hearing her laugh like that, not cool. After waiting a few minutes, I knocked on the door. No answer. So I decided to go into the kitchen and see what was so funny. Opened the door and she looked all startled when she saw me. She quickly put her phone down and was like, "It's just a funny meme from a friend." I asked her who it was, and she hesitated for a moment before saying it was a coworker. Then I noticed the name of the coworker was one of the guys she had been texting. You can guess what happened next. Another argument. She kept insisting it was nothing, just harmless fun. I had to leave the house for a walk to cool down and clear my head. While I was out walking, I bumped into my neighbor. He mentioned seeing my wife at a local bar a few nights ago. I had to ask for more details, of course. He said she was with a group of coworkers. I go back home and confront her about the night out. She says it was a casual gathering and that nothing happened. I pressed her for details, but she became defensive and said I was being paranoid. After the argument, she left the house to run some errands, taking her phone with her. I don't trust her, so I grabbed her laptop, hoping to find something that would clarify things. Opened her messages and found a thread with the same coworker from the bar. They were planning another outing and talking about drinks and staying late. I took screenshots of the messages as evidence. When my wife came back, I confronted her again with the screenshots. She got angry and said I was invading her privacy. I brought up her constant jealousy about my phone and how it felt unfair. She stormed out of the room and went to her parents' house for the night. The next day, I decided to take my kids to the park for some fresh air. While we were there, I saw my wife at the same park with a group of friends, including that coworker. I took a few pictures from a distance to have proof of them together. Later that evening, I invited my wife back home for a serious talk. I showed her the photos from the park, which left her speechless. I told her I couldn't keep playing this game and needed to know the truth. Finally, she admitted to flirting with the coworker, but insisted it meant nothing. I told her I couldn't trust her anymore and suggested we take a break from each other. I moved into the guest room for the night, trying to get some space. The next day, I contacted a family lawyer to understand my options. I told my wife that I was serious about the separation. She begged for another chance, but I felt I had to stand my ground. By the end of the week, I had a plan in place. I told my wife that I was serious about the separation. She begged for another chance, but I felt I had to stand my ground. By the end of the week, I had a plan in place. Now I'm just stuck in this waiting game, like waiting for the right time to tell the kids, waiting for the right time to fully separate and figure out custody stuff. My wife's been kind of quiet, not really pushing me on anything, but I'm sure something's brewing. I don't know, maybe it'll be a relief to finally get this over with. Or maybe it'll hurt more than I think. I'll probably update if anything major happens, but for now, just taking it one day at a time. Edit. She asked for a second chance and said she's willing to work on her trust issues. She's been open about her texts with the coworker and said it was just flirting. I don't know if I can believe that. The kids are unaware of any issues, and we're trying to keep it that way for now. No talk of divorce yet. Am I the idiot for throwing my own party after being sidelined as maid of honor? Backstory. I've been friends with these two girls for 10 years. We all met at the same time during college. No one knew each other prior. I, 28-year-old female, and the bride, 28-year-old female, were closer because our other friend, 28-year-old female, has bad communication skills. The bride and I literally rented a beach house last summer with our partners because our other friend didn't answer our messages. I also had my first baby about 5 months ago. I invited both of them to my baby shower. I actually planned the party date around the bride since she lived in a different state. Fast forward, my friend got engaged 2 months ago. I found out our other friend was maid of honor through a group message with 2 other girls she's inviting to the bachelorette party. Since college, 6 years ago, the bride always said she'd make my friend and me co-maid of honors. I'm guessing I didn't get asked because I might be overseas for a few months and might not make her wedding. I even said I could fly back for it. It would have been nice to have been an honorary maid of honor, but I understand. I'm not gonna lie, not being asked to be a co-maid of honor and also finding out my other friend was the maid of honor through a group message hurt a bit. She hasn't asked people to be her bridesmaids yet. I'm guessing she might do it during the bachelorette party. Fast forward again, I knew they were going to meet up to finalize the bachelorette party plans. But I found out through a social media post that they went wedding dress shopping, bride, maid of honor, and mother of the bride. I'm happy that she found her dress, but I really wish I was invited since we've talked about this day since college. I understand that I have a baby, but I'm not dead. I can still go out. I'm not even sure they didn't invite me because of my baby, since they were expecting me to leave my baby for 3 to 4 days for the bachelorette party. I'm just truly at a loss and feel hurt and left out. I guess I thought our relationship was closer than it really was. I'm also a little confused because the bride always comes to me complaining about our other friends' lack of communication. I'm not sure if I'm going to be asked to be a bridesmaid or even invited to the wedding since she knows I won't be in the country. If it were me, I would have asked both of them to be my maids of honor, even if it was just honorary and gone dress shopping. Right now, I honestly don't even want to go to the bachelorette party. It's out of state, and I don't want to spend a lot of money on it if this is how she views our friendship. I don't want this to ruin our friendship, but I also feel like I never would have done this to either of them. I guess I need to reevaluate the level of our friendship. Should I be upset that my 28-year-old female friend made my 28-year-old female friend her maid of honor and is leaving me out of the wedding planning? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. You have a baby? That totally changes the friendship, and I guess you didn't notice. That's fair. You were likely busy. She may feel you've moved further down the relationship scale than she is, though you don't mention if you yourself are married. Are you? Is there some weirdness because you had a baby and aren't married? If you are married, was she your maid of honor? Has she made you a bridesmaid? Are you invited to the bachelorette party? Before you jeopardize the friendship, talk to her. She may be assuming things about your ability to be there for all these wedding activities that you may be able to clarify with some communication. Comment 2. Are you even invited to the bachelorette party? You're not part of the planning or state that you were invited. If you weren't invited to the bachelorette party, likely you should expect not to be part of the bridal party. Now, whether she chooses you or not to be maid of honor or part of the bridal party, it's up to her decision. She may have felt relationally distant from you since you both don't connect with each other regularly like in the past and you both live in different towns. This can contribute to her decision. Your best approach is to communicate with her. Now, for the update, I'm back with an update on the wedding drama with my friend. It's a lot. Trigger warning: emotional cheating, public humiliation. A day after my last post, I got a group text from the bride about the upcoming bachelorette party. She mentioned that everyone was invited and it would be a fun getaway. She kept saying it was a fun getaway, which seemed odd to me. I noticed that the other friend was already making plans in the chat. The bachelorette party was planned for a beach house in a popular coastal town. I was happy the other friend was making plans because I wasn't sure I wanted to go. I know that sounds petty, but I was still really hurt from the whole bridesmaid thing, and I had no idea how the bride and the maid of honor would treat me. I didn't want to feel left out. So I ended up booking a last-minute Airbnb nearby to join the festivities without feeling awkward. I figured I had a right to be there since I was invited. When I got there, I noticed the bride and the maid of honor were sharing a room in the beach house. They greeted me with a half-hearted welcome, almost as if they were surprised I came. The first night was filled with games, but I felt like an outsider as the bride kept pulling the maid of honor into private conversations. I was just there, sipping my drink, trying to act like I was having fun. On the second day, I overheard the bride and maid of honor discussing wedding plans in another room. They mentioned a private dinner that was planned for just the two of them and the bride's mom. I was so pissed. I approached the bride outside the restaurant while everyone was taking pictures. I was like, "Hey, did you forget that I'm also a bridesmaid and a close friend?" She brushed off my concerns, saying it was just a bachelorette party and that she couldn't include everyone in everything. That's when I realized that I was going to be excluded from everything, not just the wedding party. On the last night, the group played a game where secrets were shared anonymously. The group read the secrets aloud, and the atmosphere became awkward when the bride's secret was revealed. Her secret was that she had been planning a surprise engagement party for the maid of honor, which I was not included in. I was livid. At this point, I was done. I went to the store and bought supplies for a surprise celebration of my own. I organized a small gathering at my Airbnb, inviting the other guests from the bachelorette party. I reached out to friends who had been supportive and brought snacks, drinks, and party decorations. The gathering turned into an unexpected celebration, overshadowing the bride's plans. I posted photos from my party on my social media, tagging everyone who attended. The bride saw the posts and sent an angry text, demanding to know why I would do that. The maid of honor later texted me, expressing her frustration about the situation. The fallout from the bachelorette party left our group divided, with some siding with me. As a surprising twist, the bride announced she would be scaling back her wedding plans due to the drama. I can't believe how much has happened since my last update. The drama from the bachelorette party really shook things up, and honestly, I'm feeling pretty lost in all of this. Even though some friends supported me, others cut ties completely, which hurts like hell. I never wanted any of this to happen, especially not in the lead up to my friend's wedding. I just wanted to be included and treated like a friend, not an afterthought. Now, with the wedding planning in chaos and my friendships all over the place, I don't even know what to do or how to fix this mess. I'm not doing well, so any advice would be much appreciated. To answer a few questions, I was not aware of the surprise engagement party for the maid of honor until it was revealed during the game. I didn't plan the gathering to purposely hurt the bride. I just wanted to celebrate with friends. I have no plans to attend the wedding now. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.